All right, welcome back. I jogged about a mile and a quarter to go get MiFi, personal Wi-Fi. Let's see if the signal's any better now. And again, sorry for the traffic noise and my lack of ability to do anything about it. Okay, layer now. I did orange splash, then some drawing with brushes, then blue splash, then drawing with pencil, then white. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is layer number 6. The white, of course, is opaque, or actually, more strictly speaking, translucent. Other than the white, in the acrylic stage, normally everything I do is transparent. That is critically important for the look that I'm after. Hey, while I was wrapping up my last episode, I saw briefly that somebody left a question. Again, thank you for the comment. And I didn't see the whole thing, but it had to do with, again, the question of digital art. And so let me take another whack at that. So the question is digital art real art? And it's real artistic, and at some level it is real art. But we, the human race, actually had to deal with this question years before the internet or computers were invented, because there were a number of artists who started a new movement and contended that art was really about what happens inside the mind. Real art occurred inside the mind, and without getting too deep into that, so one of the offshoots of that is they advocated that you didn't need anything to be art. All you needed was the idea, the concept. In other words, we all know that Beethoven was stone deaf when he wrote his Ninth Symphony, his most famous, probably, maybe his most famous symphony. He was stone deaf, didn't hear it, never heard a note of it, and yet every note that he wrote existed, first of all, inside his mind. So the question is, did the symphony exist as a work of art inside his mind? Can you see how that line of questioning would go? Well, now let's switch over to visual art and say, let's pick Dali, the one with the melting clocks and so on. Or persistence of memory. Is that what it's called? I'm not trying to be a Dali expert here all of a sudden. I think it's persistence of memory. The most famous thing is just the clocks drooping over, melting on the primordial plane or whatever that is. You got the idea. Okay, so Dali probably had some concept in mind before he started painting. So, did he need to paint in order for that concept to be called a work of art? And indeed, some people claim, no, he did not. It existed in his mind at some degree of completeness, and that was enough. That's all that was really necessary was for it. Okay, now, what argument could one have against that? Well, I'm not even going to give the argument. I'm just going to give you my definition of art. And this is after studying art in college 150 years ago, somewhere in the middle of the last century. And we were forced to read all kinds of stuff written by artists and art critics and so forth. And I read it. Anyway, after years and years and years after that of chewing on the question of what is art, I've come up with my own definition of art. Are you ready? Here's my definition of art. Art is stuff that's made to look at. And I'm just talking about visual art here, of course. Stuff that's made to look at. Not with no auxiliary purpose. Stop signs and stoplights, traffic signs are made to look at, but no, they're made to look at with an auxiliary function and purpose. So no, they're not art. It might be artistic, blah, blah, blah. No, they're not art. Pornography is made to look at, but it's made to look at with an auxiliary purpose of sexually turning on whoever is looking at it. Okay, so that is not art. Back to my definition. What is art? Art is stuff that's made to look at. So the question with digital art is, in fact, it is made to look at, but it's not stuff. Okay, so my definition may be kerwackety, In which case I invite you to come up with a better one. And you'd better not do it in an afternoon, or you're just not understanding the question. I'm going to stand by my definition. Say, now, art has to be stuff. So what do you do with digital art? Is it real? Yeah, well, sort of. I do it, okay? Again, go to my website, dannelsonart.com. Go to illustrations and look at a couple. I don't have a ton in there, but I have some. You know, Wacom tablet, Photoshop, photorealistic, airbrush effects, and so on and so on and so forth, okay? But is it real art? There'd have to, at least, at the very least, be an asterisk under it and say, well, it's sort of art, except that there's no thing. You know, it's like art that exists in the mind. It's art that exists only in the ether of ones and zeros. So that would be my, and these, it's not worth fighting over. This my opinion. This is not a hill I'm going to die on. That's just my opinion. Take it or leave it. And again, take it from someone who does digital art. And in most cases, forgive me, probably does it better than some of the people who would like to argue about it. Okay, so not everybody. I'm not saying I'm all that great, but you know, I get paid to do it. So whatever. Okay, back to the painting at hand. Every once in a while, yes, I digress into the something world of philosophy. Enough of the small brushes. Let me start doing some big stuff again. I really get nervous if I find myself using small brushes too long in a row. I am going to do some. Whoa! Boy, that was powerful, wasn't it? Let me look at it and then see if I actually like that. A little bit up here. It's fairly accurate reflection of what's out there. Green is a very dangerous color. Green is a very dangerous color, and it is so largely because of the way our eyes are made, rods and cones. And that's all I'm going to say about that right now. I'll get into rods and cones, no doubt, some other time, and why green is so dangerous. I've been told, I can't prove this, but I've been told that the human eye can discern more shades of green than any other color. And I'm inclined to believe it. So, be careful of that kind of green right there. That chartreuse, the color that they sometimes paint fire trucks. There's a reason they paint fire truck chartreuse, because they want it to visually blow you over. Huh. I'm actually doing all right here. I'm not complimenting myself. I'm commenting myself. Commenting on, oh, maybe I'm close to being done. I mean, closer to moving on to oils than I was thinking. A little bit. There's some orange stonework down here. All this white should be orange. Likewise, this white should be orange. One of my favorite tricks is putting on the, as you're seeing me do now, is putting down the white, opaque white, and then come back and do color on top of it, so that the resultant, the finished color is a transparent color instead of opaque. And our eyes like transparent color better than opaque color. I get into that concept at considerable length on many of my videos. Our eyes like transparent color. Our eyes like transparent color more than opaque color. Now, why don't we just use all opaque, a transparent color? The reason is because our eyes enjoy variety even more than they enjoy either one of those two dualistically opposed words, transparent versus opaque. And translucent right in between, of course, which our eyes also enjoy. I will explain this on several videos. I certainly will explain it in my book, The Breakable Laws of Painting, but you got to know how to break them. Learn the laws first, then break them wisely. Yeah, I'm coming okay. I'm a little bit surprised at how quickly this is coming together. white now and do light stuff. So I paint layer by layer by layer. Non-artists, people who aren't artists at all, are often deeply mystified by this, because when a non-artist looks at a painting, they essentially see the top layer and think that's all there is. It's like looking at a Michelangelo statue, David Pietà or something, and looking how he carved the fingernails, and thinking carving fingernails is the essence of Michelangelo's genius. And as a sculptor, by the time you get down to fingernails, you have demonstrated such outrageous degrees of genius that most people can't even comprehend. I'm not comparing myself to that, but it is true that non-artists tend to look at a painting, see the top layer, the finished layer, that's all they can see. Pretty accurate statement. That's all they can see, and they think that's all there is. So that when they watch a painting being developed, they're astounded and confused, if not deeply troubled, by the layers that go underneath the top layer. And as a painter, if you are a painter, you need to every once in a while this happens. A piece of equipment got taken from here, put in another kit, and alas, I have it not. No palette knife. Yikes. There's got to be something around here that can turn into a palette knife. Yeah. Not perfect, but it'll do. By the way, here's a good principle. For those of you who either are paint in a manner roughly similar to mine, or you want to try my technique, the technique being layers of primarily transparent colors underneath the final touches of opaque. Here's a good guideline. You want your underpainting lines. Not only is it okay if they are slightly irregular and off and inaccurate and wrong, believe it or not, it is actually preferable for them to be slightly inaccurate and wrong. Isn't that a strange reality? The reason being, if you make your underpainting extremely accurate and then you come later and do the overpainting, it's not a term we usually use, but essentially that's what it is, and you do your overpainting on top of the underpainting and your lines line up perfectly, your lines will be too stultified, stiff, inhuman. They will be stuck, stiff, boring, ugly lines. That's what they'll be. Ugly. Forget all those big words. They'll be ugly. So you want your underpainting actually to be slightly erroneous, slightly off, slightly inaccurate. And some of you, of course, that concept is just drive you berserk. Of course, you're the same people who say, I want to get loose. Last year at Art of the Carolinas, I taught a class. Forgive me, I think it's the best title I've ever had for a class. And I'm sure I'll use it again. It was, do you really want to get loose, or are you just saying that? Because a lot of people, everybody that wants to paint in this painterly manner, everybody says they want to get loose. Many say, but I just can't get loose. Well, you'll have to come to my class to find out how to get out of that hamster wheel. I want to get loose, paint tight. Want to get loose, paint tight. Want to get loose, paint tight. people say it loses better, but you're not really entirely convinced. So you don't really take the leap into looseness because you think success in painting rests in the realm of accuracy, tightness. And until you are relieved of that delusion, you will continue to paint tight. There, how's that for pontificating? As I said before, if you don't want to listen to some artistic pontifications, then by all means don't watch my videos. I'm not here necessarily just to make you feel better. I'm here to make you paint better. Sometimes that requires telling you the truth. He's gone to grumpy now, Papa. Change the channel, Myrtle. He's gotten all grump ass on. Oh, so forgive me while I go grump ass just for a minute. I'm back now. I'm back. It's my normal happy self. Come back now. Turn this back on. You might have noticed I paint with 2 hands. See, I feel like I've got a whole different audience now that I'm on YouTube after a couple years of Facebook. And so there's a whole bunch of things, a whole bunch of water over the bridge, under the bridge, over the dam. Funny. A whole bunch of water over the dam that if you're new, you don't know. Why do I paint with 2 hands? Stay tuned. I'll talk about it enough times till you're blue in the face. Till I'm blue in the face, I'll talk about it. But it's because I'm a better painter if I paint with 2 hands. And so are you. You just don't know it yet if you're only painting with 1 hand. I've gotten to the point I can't even stand to watch other people paint with 1 hand. It drives me berserk. I say, what's the matter? You have a stroke or something? What's the matter with that other hand? Old war injury? What's the matter? Why aren't you using 2 hands? No, I'm being really sorry. I'm being really mean. Grump ass is back. Okay, I'm just about ready to go to oil, I believe. Wow, that's a pretty fast acrylic layer there. If things go well, painting can move along at a reasonable rate. When things go bad, things slow down. Or when you paint huge paintings, like I was doing last weekend. I did 3 paintings, an average of 4 by 6 feet each. That slows down things a little bit. So 24 by 24 is a piece of cake compared to 4 by 4 feet. Let's diminish some of these drips. I like drips, you can probably tell. I want to make sure I do enough drips so that people don't think they're a mistake. Years ago I had a couple times buyers of paintings came back and said, I hate to say this, but your painting has some drips on it. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so ever since then I just tried to make sure that there's so many drips that nobody could possibly think it was a mistake. Whew! I'm in counseling. Yes, I am in. I'm really not. I ought to be in counseling. Maud, he ought to be in counseling. Maud and Papa are 2 alter egos that live inside my head and make rather countrified wisecracks to each other about me. I'm sure you figured that out by now. Okay, that's a good place to pause. I think the acrylics is done. Yahoo! Ready to move on to oil. Thanks for watching. Be back in just a few minutes.